Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in this journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in the journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom.
All right, we should get started. Mhm. Hello, yes.
We should wait a little bit more.
Eh?
It's only you and me here.
Oh, then let's keep playing that video.
Yeah.
Okay. So James is not on time.
Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate mental health faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in this journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate mental health faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. In this journey towards mental well-being, together we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate mental health faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. In this journey towards mental well-being, together we can create a brighter, healthier.
All right,
I can
let's
see
get
James.
started.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, he's
Sorry?
here. Hi, James.
Hello, James.
Hello, guys.
Let's get started.
Hello. Can you hear me?
No, you're not audible, James. Come closer to the microphone.
You can hear me. You can hear
Get
me
closer
clearly.
closer to the microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me clearly now?
You're clear, but you're far from the mic. Low volume. I don't know how you can increase volume. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so today we'll be focusing on trauma, and I hope, I don't know, Frida, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
The
Okay.
volume.
Okay.
Go ahead, James.
All right. So today we are focusing on trauma. I know each one of us come from different places, but it has crazy 2 weeks. We'll see things we were not supposed to see. And I decided today we focus on trauma because these things were not only affecting those people on the ground, but also us on social media, because they were being posted and we were viewing. So that's why today we are focusing on trauma and trauma-based care. And we will start now. I'm just waiting for Albert to join. Albert will be our trainer today, and he will take us through the. Now, I don't know, Doc, have you seen the news? What's going on in Kenya?
Yes, I've seen the news. So you're saying we waited
Hello,
for Albert. He's not here.
Yeah.
Albert is not online.
I'm asking, have you seen the?
Yes, I've seen the news. The news about the protest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen the news. Protest been going on for 3 weeks now. So yeah, what about the news, James?
Yeah, the news, the reason why our topic for today is trauma. And I think as we wait for Albert, because we can't hold on, we just go through maybe everyone to tell us how it is affecting them, where they stay. Yeah, and also tell us your name, and we can take this time. Yeah.
James is barely audible. Frida, can you hear him?
No,
James,
I can't hear him.
he's disappearing. James, I don't know why your voice is disappearing somewhere.
I'm
Is
also
it-
wondering because I'm really close to the microphone. I'm really close to the microphone.
Or maybe it's your earphones if you have earphones on.
Yeah. All right. So is a speaker here today, the topic master, so we can get started.
I can't see him.
So we are talking about trauma. So I think we need to talk about it is trauma and something else, and what to do with it. So James, James is not very audible, so I do not really understand what he was talking about. So I think, but we should get started because there are people here, and we want to make sure that they learn what to do with trauma. Yeah, we're beginning another 8-week series on mental health. And I think James has planned this meeting to begin this series on this cycle with the topic of trauma because of the traumatic experiences people are going through right now in Kenya. There's so much trauma, which is created by our own leader, but of course he tries to deny all that. So trauma is happening at very different levels. the trauma that is happening, the physical trauma that is emerging during the people protests is secondary to another trauma, which is economic trauma. And that economic trauma brings about psychological trauma or mental trauma. When people get mental anguish because they cannot make ends meet. If you can't make ends meet, then your life becomes traumatic. So then you see this psychological trauma because you're not able to make ends meet, because of economic trauma, because you don't have money. And then that leads to protests, which end up causing physical trauma. Physical trauma is what happens to your human body, the body of flesh and bones. But before the physical trauma can manifest, 3 levels of trauma have already taken place. And those 3 levels of trauma are much worse than the physical trauma. So the higher, at the very high level, as we say about how a human being is constructed, is the spirit of the human being. That's called the being, your being. That's called the I in you. That I in you, or I in me, that I in me, which is your consciousness. See, that's your consciousness. That I can never be traumatized because that's the kingdom of God. That's where God lives. You cannot traumatize God. Even Mr. Ruto cannot do that. Okay, that's your spirit. You cannot traumatize somebody's spirit, but you can traumatize somebody's other things, levels of existence. So under the spirit, there is your mind, which is your mental health. Your mental health, your thinking. So your mental health can get traumatized by adverse conditions. And then when your mental health is when your mental health is traumatized, it now traumatizes your heart. Your heart is a seat of feelings. So you start feeling bad. And then because you're feeling bad, you can do bad things. So then you take bad actions. Okay. And so trauma usually is a reaction to another cause. What causes trauma? And you have seen that there are things that are outside yourself that will traumatize your mentation or your thinking, traumatize your thinking. And then you're going to feel bad. And when you feel bad, that now expresses itself physically. And then besides your own self, leading yourself to physical action, there are physical actions that come from outside yourself, which means that they can injure your body. Okay, so then when you get bodily injury, for example, during the Maandamanos, during the demonstration, you suffer physical injury. That now creates it establishes another loop of trauma. So you get another loop of trauma. But trauma itself is an effect of a certain cause. So the injuries that people sustain during Maandamano they are secondary effects. So those are second level. And those now come to reinforce the trauma that was already existing before, and that is extremely dangerous because now that can lead to permanent loss of action. Yeah, permanent loss of action. And then the question today is, how do you deal with such things, such permanent loss of trauma? First of all, for you to understand how to deal with that, you want to know that what to deal with trauma, physical trauma, like secondary trauma, like what happens. You want to know that spirit can never be traumatized. Yeah, hello? All right. Yeah, somebody said something. Yeah, your spirit is still intact. no one can actually access your spirit because you know the one in you is far greater than the one in the world. The one in the world is the one who gets affected by these physical traumas. And this means that your consciousness, you're still conscious, even if your mental, your mentation is traumatized, or even if your feelings are traumatized, and even if you experience physical trauma. That's one thing to understand, is that you have a reservoir inside yourself that can help you recover. So I'm talking about this to all those people who experienced loss, and we want to first of all, said condolences to all those people who got injured during the Maandamano. Mhm. And first of all, know that nobody can destroy your spirit. Okay? Nobody can destroy your spirit. You're still intact as a conscious human being. Even if you die, your spirit lives forever and ever because the spirit is eternal. You see? So then you can draw into that spirit to gain new force. That's a new source. And I think that's what in Christian Bible known as, they call it the living water, because it lives forever and it's there with you always. The spirit is there with you always. And so that's one thing that's from in the process of healing from trauma. I see this trauma, mental trauma itself can realign even the arrangement of your brain cells, even your conducting system. The mental health is a physical trauma. So mental health, when people get stressed, first of all, it gets stressed by economic stress. If you're not able to afford food, you stress a lot and you start secreting stress hormones that, the stress reaction that are going to rearrange just the neurotransmission, the way your neurons transmit messages in your brain. Mm-hmm. And usually in that state, when your neurotransmission are changed, the higher centers are switched off. Usually, you get the higher centers to be switched off, so that the lower centers in the midbrain can take control. Those are the centers that respond to the fear, flight, you call it triple F: fear, flight, and what? Or fight. Fear, flight, or fight. So you either afraid, or you either run away, or you stay to fight back. That is not controlled in the higher centers. Higher centers are the one that has got cognitive judgment. So when you are experiencing trauma, your judgment could be diminished because the brain has short-circuited the higher centers that give you cognitive judgment, and now the lower centers are operating to respond to a situation that's causing you to be afraid. So you respond with fear, either to run away, or you fight, or you freeze. Even some people freeze and they're unable to move forward. So trauma is very destructive that way, such that if you have economic trauma and then you go into fear, fright, or freeze response, then your economic situation worsens because of that. But remember, your spirit is still intact. So there's living water to draw upon because your spirit is still intact. And that can help you get over that. But then, when you go into that fear, flight, and fight response mode, then you see it generates feelings of anger, angst, which either you're going to be fighting against, and then can cause you to respond badly. But I saw the Maandamano in Nairobi were fairly peaceful, except though I hijacked some princes of darkness who came to shooting out people with live bullets, killing people. That's a serious, that's abhorrent. Yeah. And so that's even more traumatizing. Then because some people were shot and they were demonstrating, and then there was altercation. Some people end up getting physical injuries. They're in the hospital. And so we said condolences to those who were shot and died, and then peace to those who are in the hospital and they are suffering today. And but see now then the ones who are shot, then you see they have passed away, but their families are traumatized. They experiencing loss. And during that time they're experiencing loss, we also need to empathize with them. And then the ones who are in the hospital, they are going through recovery. But then again, the hospital does not have enough resources, and maybe some of them cannot afford, because some people are injured and they cannot afford to go to the hospital. So they're at home with their injuries. And that I wonder what we can do to help such people so that they can go and receive treatment in the major hospitals like Kenyatta National Hospital or any hospital that's close by. When physical trauma needs to be evaluated, because something that if you get injured, like you get hit with a rungu, you might not notice anything happening, but you could be bleeding inside. How something could be destroyed inside, damaged, and it's always good to go and get at least an X-ray to evaluate whether there's any internal damage that has happened, and get some evaluation, physical examination by a clinician. Okay, and then after that, somebody can go through treatment. So then what happens after the physical trauma has occurred? Then there's the initial, recovery. You can get some physical recovery, but that does not help with the mental recovery. It doesn't correspond with mental recovery. So for you to recover mentally, someone to recover mentally, it takes a longer time. Some people call that the grief period, because it's like a period of loss. And what is important to know is that the physical injuries and the mental injuries have happened. They have not destroyed the spirit whatsoever. So that is a source of resilience. If you can get through the traumatic episode, then you know that you're still there. You haven't died. And you're still everything within you. Now I'm hoping that Mr. Albert has joined us, so he can lead us next the conversation. Hello, hi James.
Hi, Doc.
Is Albert with us now?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Albert is with us, and I believe during the last 2 weeks, there are people who have reached out actually to Actuate, requesting to be referred to maybe places where they can get people with psychology. We've actually referred even to the 11X9, the one for Red Cross, and actually thank everyone that is here placing your trust on us, because it has been some hard time. Also about the issue of not receiving medical care. Currently, Kenyatta is providing free medical care to anyone that was affected by the maandamano for free. So, and the MMS hospital. So if you have someone who hasn't received medical attention, check them there. I believe we have cases where someone feels insecure, they feel arrested, but you should assure them that the information will not be shared.
So what is MMS?
Thank you very much. Now, MMS is an hospital based along Juja Road.
Is it Metropolitan?
And it provides
Metropolitan Hospital?
No, it's not Metropolitan.
Oh.
Yeah, and they provide free ambulance evacuation, not like the other ambulances. Yeah, as long as you live along areas, Madare, the informal settlements, Madare, Kariako, they provide free evacuation for both maternity, and currently they have 10 in Kenyatta Hospital. So you just visit them. I know we have those guys who don't feel like they want to be in a government hospital. MMS is more of an organization, so you feel free to visit them. Also for the one-to-one sessions, that part is in the form, but if you feel like you can't talk to anyone, we have the 11-9, where you get to talk to someone that you don't know and that they can give you directions. And for those of you who have reached us out, also thank you so much. And for those ones who feel like they need to talk, you're also welcome to check on our or any of the groups. Just reach someone out and they get to us. Any of the admins. Okay. Now I'd like to invite Albert to lead us today. Albert will be covering yeah. And I'd really love it if Albert will tell us what should we do, because now we know that we have people who are affected by trauma. Because I picked the topic because people were reaching out saying that they saw this. So I think now I can expound more about how do we take care of these people and how do we talk to them. Albert, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, James. Good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from whichever part of the world. So for those whom we've not met before, my name is Albert Mgoa. I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm mostly focusing on community counseling, working in informal settlements within Nairobi County, mostly in Mathare, Kibra, and Mathare, Kibra, and the wider Mukuru area. Besides that, I also do training and coaching on something called emotional intelligence and digital wellness. Besides that, on my free time, I'm also into mentorship, and I'm also very passionate in the area of IT. Presently heading the communication and PR docket at the Internet Society of Kenya, and I'm also implementing a life legacy project in East Africa, currently being implemented in Kibra, targeting youth between the ages of 15 to 30 years old. For me, the subject matter of today is very, very timely, keeping in mind what we are going through as a country. I know everybody in one shape or form is traumatized. It could be directly and it could be indirectly. So for me, I look at it this way today. I look at the various forms of trauma. We'll touch also on some of the causes, look at some of the symptoms, and then what are some of the long-term effects of trauma. Then coping. And under coping, we look at two key areas, that is professional help and self-care strategies. So to start off, I want to pick up from where Dr. Tari has just ended. When we hear, what do we think trauma is? What is trauma? You can either raise your hand, or if you're not able to speak, you can utilize the chat box. What is trauma according to you? Anyone? It's open to anyone. Trauma.
Hello,
Yes.
but for what I understand, trauma
Mm.
is an emotion and a psychological response to disagree
Mm. Mm-hmm.
or this event.
I'm not hearing you.
Hello,
You're breaking. You're breaking out. I can't hear very clearly. You're breaking. Just repeat.
I can see trauma. It refers to as an emotion and the psychological response to disturbing events, and the result can be experienced from accident, violence, or any natural disaster. Thank you.
Very good. That is good. Thank you, Damian. Anyone else who would like to give it a go? Anyone else would like to give it a go? Anyone Victorian? Lillian? Achieng? Anyone? Anyone else? Or we're saying we're in agreement with what Damien has said? Let me just get a sign, if we're all in agreement, a thumbs up or something. Just give me a sign that we're together. Give me a sign, either a thumbs up. Yes, James. Yes, Claire. Thank you for that. Okay. So if I may just sum up what you've all said, because I think we generally understand it, it's basically a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that can have a lasting adverse effects on one's mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It's also important to remember that it can result from a single event or from prolonged or repeated experiences. Okay? It can result from a single event or from prolonged or repeated experiences. And just even with that definition, if we just think back even at the recent Mandamano that we've been experiencing, I'm sure it's been very traumatic. Yeah. I just have a question for you guys. Yesterday there was a Mandamano in town, isn't it? Yes. What did you observe? What did the protesters do that they've not done before? What did you observe? Anyone? Excuse me. Did you not see coffins on the road? Yes, they are looting and stealing, but also there are coffins on the road. How do you perceive that? I'm curious. How do you perceive that?
Coffins. Which road had coffins? The Jogo Road?
Not Jogo Road. The road, which one was it again? The one connecting, going all the way to University Way. They put coffins on that side of the road, on the road.
University Way, that's Uhuru Highway or Moy Avenue?
Moy Avenue.
Oh, Moy Avenue. Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. How do you perceive that?
Coffin as symbols of death.
Albert, can I try?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I perceive that the nation is distressed. They're really disturbed.
Yes, it distressed somebody else. Or rather, what do coffins signify?
I think I can try to understand what the message that they want to deliver. So two messages that we are demonstrating because we are dying. We are just good enough for coffin. We are already dead because of and so we are in these coffins, and that's what we are saying. Yeah. Or the other way is that we want our leaders to be dead and buried in this and put in these coffins. That whoever they are demonstrating against, they want him in that coffin. So it can have that too. I think it symbolizes both that we are dead because of the bad economic conditions that are killing us, and we want the one who's producing those economic conditions to die so they can also be in that coffin. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daktari. And that leads me to what I wanted to say. The coffins just generally symbolize death. And that by itself is traumatizing, isn't it? That by itself, even before we begin to interpret the meaning, that the fact that coffins were put on the road by itself is traumatizing, because someone will interpret, another interpretation would be people are going to die. You know. Yes. So I'm saying that just to indicate that by itself is traumatizing. You can imagine young people seeing that. Those of us out here seeing it, you've never seen it before. Yeah? And as I earlier said, trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience, such as not the coffins on the road, that can have a lasting adverse effects on your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And from there, I now want to come to another very important part. We've got forms of trauma, or rather types of trauma. And straight to you again. What forms of trauma are you aware of? Yes. Psychological trauma, thank you, yes. Anyone else? Remember, this is adult learning. There's no right or wrong answer.
Physical trauma.
And what's physical trauma?
Let's say you get into something like an accident, and then your body does not reacts maybe negatively, or maybe you get like a leg injury, and for some time you're not even able to walk or move. So yeah, something like that.
So it basically now deals with your body, how your body is affected by the incident, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good. Somebody else? Anybody else? Let's see, Jedida. Jedida? Empress? Empress? Okay, Alex? Yes, emotional trauma. What's emotional trauma, Claire? Yeah, what's emotional trauma?
Log inside. Log inside.
Okay, Diana? Diana? Joy? Anyone? Would like to say something? Going once? Going twice? Okay. So there are three forms of trauma, broadly, that is. We have what you call acute trauma. And acute trauma, excuse me, results from a single significant event. It results from a single significant event. For example, it could be a car accident or a natural disaster or an assault. That's acute trauma. So the thing is, it results from a single significant event. 2, chronic trauma. So chronic trauma stems from repeated and prolonged exposure to highly stressful events. I repeat, chronic trauma stems from repeated and prolonged exposure to highly stressful events such as domestic violence and abuse. Another one is what you call complex trauma. And complex trauma arises from exposure to multiple traumatic events, often of an invasive, interpersonal, and it is interpersonal in nature. I'll repeat. Complex trauma arises from exposure to multiple traumatic events, often of an invasive or interpersonal in nature. For example, ongoing abuse and neglect. So are we together, everyone? Just to check in that we are together. Just show me a thumbs up if you're together. Okay, thank you,
Hello.
Alex. Yes, go ahead.
Can you differentiate between the complex and the chronic trauma, because you have confused me according to an example, so I never get you well.
So chronic trauma is from repeated and prolonged exposure to highly stressful events. Okay? So you're constantly exposed to a stressful event, like what? Domestic abuse, gender-based violence, SGBV. It is prolonged, it's happened, and it's repeated. The key word is prolonged exposure and it is repeated. That is chronic. But complex, you're exposed to multiple traumatic events. And it is invasive and it is interpersonal in nature. Keyword, multiple traumatic events. And I said ongoing abuse and even neglect. Remember, abuse does not exist by itself as a word. There are many things that build up onto that abuse. Okay? It could be, there's an element of verbal, there's an element of environmental, there's an element of psychological, there's an element of emotional. So those are the multiple traumatic events. And it is invasive and interpersonal in it. So it basically means it happens mostly between two people. Chronic is repeated and prolonged exposure to a highly stressful event. So somebody who is experiencing domestic violence and they've been experiencing it for the last, let's say, 6 months or 1 year, then that's chronic trauma because it's prolonged. Even the timing, it's prolonged. 6 months, 1 year, some even 10 years, even some even 20 years. Any other clarification?
Well, I think if I can add to this, the distinction between chronic and complex is that first of all, complex is chronic because it is chronic is one event producing the trauma, one single thing, one kind of thing. So one kind of thing is chronic that happening in repeated sequence, happening multiple times. But complex is multiple things happening at the same time. And you see, like situations within interpersonal relationships, domestic violence, they can be complex because beside the violence, there could also be economic trauma inside there that the spouse is not is withholding money plus beating up the spouse, and so that's complex. It has got multiple sources, multiple events happening at the same time, but then they're also chronic. So I think
in nature.
So I hope that.
Yes, thanks so much, Dr. for that clarification, because the events are also still highly stressful in complex trauma.
Yes. Multiple highly stressful event, but in chronic is single highly stressful event. One.
Yes.
Okay, that's the distinction. Yeah.
Any other?
I think we could have acute complex event where you have an acute event that's caused by multiple sources, like the policeman throwing tear gas and then you're running and then you injure your foot. The tear gas, the injury to the foot when running, or maybe they get the hip dislocation. You see that that's a complex combination of acute events.
Yes. So they can, somehow they can kind of like marry into each other.
Yes.
Yeah, somehow. Anyone else for clarification? Okay, if not, now I want to again pose a question to all of us. What are some of the symptoms of trauma? What are the symptoms?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Some of the symptoms sometimes it's like it can bring like a confusions, maybe anger, mood swing, fear and anxiety, feeling of sometimes hopeless or sadness, or sometimes you can feel disconnected or maybe withdraw, something like that, or shock maybe. Yeah.
Yes, very, very good. Thank you. Anybody else would like to give it a try? Symptoms. We know them. Anyone like to give it a try? Yes, intrusive thoughts. Thank you, Claire. Okay, so I'll just to add on to what you've said, you've got fatigue, when you feel persistently tired and exhausted, sleep disturbances such as insomnia, even nightmares, or disrupted sleep patterns. We also have got unexplained aches and pains, gas, we even have got increased heart rates, irritability, anxiety, even feeling detached or disconnected from your environment is also a sign. We even have, you end up having unwanted or recurring thoughts about the traumatic event. Then you also have got flashbacks, inability to concentrate, and even memory problems. Memory problems are also a symptom. You also have got avoidance. You're hypervigilant, constantly on the lookout for danger. Even you also have got self-destructive behaviors is also a symptom, where you engage in substance abuse, self-harm, or engaging in risky behavior. And then also, as we had mentioned, isolation or withdrawal from social interactions and from the relationships that we have with people out here, with family, friends, and other members of the community. So those are just some of the key symptoms for us to be able to identify that somebody is going through trauma. Now, I think there's something here that I think is very important about the long-term effects of trauma, what it can do. For this one, I'd like you all to pay very close attention. Now, one thing about trauma which is not addressed, if you don't deal with trauma and it keeps on disturbing you for, I believe, a period of more than 2 weeks, then it's very likely that you're suffering from what you call PTSD. That is post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is a long-term effect of trauma. So what is PTSD? So it's a mental health condition that is characterized by severe anxiety, you have flashbacks, and also uncontrollable thoughts about that specific traumatic event. And then just closely connected to that, you also have got what you call complex PTSD. That is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So it is resulting from chronic trauma, which includes symptoms of PTSD. And this goes hand in hand with emotional dissociations and interpersonal difficulties, etc. There are also physical health issues. And here you've got increase in chances of getting like heart disease and diabetes. And then also there are also chances of one getting or suffering from mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, substance use disorders, and also eating disorders. So for long-term, those are some of the long-term effects of PTSD, of trauma. That is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, physical health issues, and mental health disorders. And here we have got depression, anxiety disorders, substance abuse disorders, and eating disorders. Now, finally, on to the coping. So, how then should one cope with trauma? Over to you guys. How should one cope with trauma?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Damian. Yes, Damian.
First of all, you need the support, psychological support from your friends. You need to be connected with your trusted friends or individuals to avoid this issue of isolation. But also you need to cope with the situation, to learn about the trauma, to understand, analyze these issues that has been caused such kind of trauma because of the experiences that you have been getting from such kind of trauma. To seek about these issues of treatment to better to cope with that situation. But also sometimes you need relaxations. You practice to relax, such as those issues concerning with maybe someone is chasing you. You need to relax because with you, muscles relaxations or yoga. You need to spend time with the nature in order to cope with this situation to avoid this kind of trauma. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Damian, you really outlined them very well. I see Alex, yes, seek professional help from a psychiatrist. That's what you said. You should be counseling from a psychologist, not psychiatrist. Talk about the stressful event, yes. Exercise, yes. Seek social support, yes. Thank you, Claire. That's good. Anybody else want to also give it a try, a go? Veronica, I haven't heard you today. Elijah?
I think I'd like to try.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd say journaling, writing down feelings as a coping mechanism. Anything that happens during the day, how you felt, you just write it down. That can also help.
Yes, that can. Very good. Thank you very much. Elijah? How would you cope? Elijah, the question is, how can one cope with trauma? Anybody who would like to give it a try? Ronald? Sean? Anyone? I know the things that we know. So, okay. So one, there's therapy, joining support groups for individuals who have experienced the similar traumas, meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, even prayer, regular exercises to reduce stress and improve your mood, having a nutritious diet, getting enough sleep, avoid alcohol and drugs. You can also engage in creative outlets, like engage in art, music, writing, or other creative activities to express one's emotions, which also includes journaling. Yeah, so these are but a few of the ways of coping with trauma. I think for me, this gives us a good overview of what is trauma, the forms of trauma, how we can identify trauma, and then through the signs and symptoms, and finally looking at how do you cope with trauma. So at this point, this brings me to the end of today's session. I'd like to open the floor for a few questions before I hand it over to you, if any. Any questions or comments? Any question or comment? If none, then over to you, James.
Okay, Albert, I think I have a question before you mute. How do you deal with, maybe, let's say someone has seen something immediately? Is it advised to maybe talk to them immediately, or you should wait? Because I've seen influencers during this period where maybe someone is not used to seeing blood, and maybe they I repeat.
Okay,
so
I get you. I think the first point of call, especially as a helper, when you observe that and you notice that it's beginning to affect them, get them to pull them aside and sit down with them and try to now, say, what do you call it, offer your PFA to them. Now talk to them. And that is why before you go and respond, especially those of us who are responders, you must be able to know your strengths. And here I'm saying, if you know you're okay seeing blood, then go there. If you're okay, for example, dealing with bodies, then go there. If not, make sure that you make that known to those individuals or institutions that you're engaging with. Having said that, sometimes I know things can just happen, without any form of plan. And the event that happens and you're present, as a helper, look, identify, see that person, get them to a safe space, and now offer PFA to them. Offer PFA to them. That's what I'd recommend.
Okay, Albert, could you remind the people what is PFA?
Oh, PFA stands for psychological first aid. And psychological first aid is the immediate help you give to an individual or individuals who have undergone a traumatic life event.
Okay.
So, yes. So during traumas or disasters, we utilize PFA, and PFA is not counseling. It's basically help offered by anyone to any individual or individuals who have undergone a traumatic event.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Albert, and the reason for my question is that I saw someone somewhere and tried giving them PFA, but they were just staring into thin air. Like they could not, it's like they can't see you, and you're really trying to get their attention. So I don't know if it is really advice, because I actually faced it where you are trying to talk to someone, telling them, actually, like telling them stuff and asking them, are you okay? But they are not talking to you, and they're just staring. And it was really,
Yeah, that's somebody who is in shock.
because...
Yeah, thank you, James. That's somebody who's in shock. That is why, before you talk to them, get them to a space, a safe space, before you start talking to them. You identify, you see how they're behaving, see if you can get them to a safe space first. We talk to them. Then once you've done that, then now you start talking to them. Because I can imagine, like even me, there's certain things I will see, people react differently, yeah, to stressful life events. Maybe like this individual is not used to seeing blood. So they keep on seeing blood, now they're in shock. And maybe their shock response is just to stay in a daze. So what you need to also understand that this individual is likely to be shocked. So since this is the case, then how do I help this individual? So now maybe the thing I'd want to do is to get them away from that into a safe space before now I start my intervention.
Okay.
Yes. I think what James is describing is what we call the freeze reaction. Because he said traumatic event, a traumatic event can produce four things. The response from fighting back, fear, flight, or freeze. So some people just freeze, means that their cognition is switched off. So even if you try to talk to them, they are not responding. They are not unconscious, they're just frozen. And so, as Albert says, what you do with such a person is get that person in a safe space, because he's not responding because he's becoming a recalcitrant. Is because the upper center, the higher centers have been switched off. Yeah, so they're not working until now. They cover that, then they can come back. And then you start talking. Even that time, they're not even recording the events that are going on. So if you ask them to what happened, they can't remember. So they don't have memory of that period because the event was so traumatic that they stopped recording. It's like you have a cassette playing. I mean, you have a recorder which is switched off and then is not capturing any information. So your video is blank. So they have no record of that event in their brain. That could be good. But there are other people who are also recording, but they are frozen. But they are recording in a frozen, and that now can come down and affect them. But people can respond in that response by freezing, so that they do not accept any more stimulus, negative stimulus that's coming in. So they stop hearing, they switch off everything. And that's when you need to help that person very much, because if that thing persists, then it's very damaging to the person. Okay, so you get them out of there. If there's a place, so I think you can guide them out of the place. You walk with them because they're still mobile, they can walk. The person is able to walk. There's nothing broken, it's just frozen mentally. Okay, yeah. And we see that now comes to how you cope with stress. So see, that's the situation, how we cope with trauma. That's a situation of acute trauma. So acute trauma is recognizing such traumatic events that are happening. Being aware is if you're the helper, you can help people out. Only the trauma is happening to yourself. Sometimes when the trauma is happening to you, you may not even recognize it, because the brain has this thing of trying to switch off this traumatic stimulus. And then you also go into this either frozen response that you don't recognize the traumatic event happening. But if you're still livid, that means that you are totally conscious of that event happening. The first thing is to get out of there as soon as possible and get into a safe place. So you give yourself first aid by getting out of there, so you don't continue to experience that stress. And then when now in coping with a chronic trauma, or maybe chronic effects of trauma, you want to remember that the trauma happens in the 4 stages of your being. There are 4 states: your spiritual state, your mental state, which is psychological, your physical state, and your feelings, which is your emotions. So how do you cope with each one of those stages? Because if you don't cope with any one of them, you leave one of them out, then it doesn't work out well for you. So for the spiritual space, you want to connect with other people in the community who are your spiritual beings. Some people go to church for that. And so having your spiritual people, your spiritual friends, whether the church group, or if you're Muslim, to the people in your Islamic group, whatever it is, you know that trauma, first of all, does not destroy the spirit. Trauma does not destroy the spirit. So you want to be with your spiritual friends, brothers and sisters in faith. And that helps you to remember that you're still here, you're still fully conscious, because spirit is your consciousness. So if you're conscious, you are still good. So for the psychological trauma, that's when you need therapy. Okay, therapy, you need to connect with therapy, maybe through the faith organization, like the church organization, or the mosque. So the faith-based organization, they can help you connect with therapy, with therapists. These are psychologists, people who can help you cope with understanding what's going on in your life. Then for the physical trauma, it's important to seek physical treatment. Physical treatment means that you get examined by a clinical officer or a doctor to find out whether there's anything damaged physically. And you see, there are 2 types of damages that happen to your body. One is the acute damage, where you get maybe fractures of bones, or you have cuts and tears of your tissues and flesh. And then there's chronic damage that occurs because of persistent trauma, because of the stress reaction. And these chronic physical problems include things like diabetes. Your body stops processing blood sugar properly, so you get diabetes. High blood pressure. Your body stops regulating water properly, so you get high blood pressure. So you need your blood pressure taken and then your blood sugar taken, because you can get diabetes out of traumatic experiences. And then you have mental disorders like depression and anxiety disorders. And so it's important to get yourself examined, physically. You get physical examination where your vital signs are monitored. That means the heart rate, the breathing, the heart rate, your body weight is increasing, because as Albert said, that some people go into feeding disorders. Either they're eating too much to cope with stress or traumatic experience, or they're not eating. So you either get obesity or anorexia nervosa. That means that loss of appetite, or even some people get into this problem called bulimia. They eat and then they try to make themselves throw up, to throw up the food they just ate, so they don't gain weight. So they actually lose a lot of weight. Okay. So then, get the eating disorders, and of course, then the drinking disorders. Now, if you are in a faith-based group, then you want to make sure that if you are entering into alcoholism to cope with a traumatic experience that you're having, then you want to get to share that with either your brothers and sisters in the faith-based group, or your therapists, so that you don't end up trying to treat the chronic pain or the agony of trauma with alcoholism. And some people go to other madawa ya kulevya, so we'll be going to narcotics just to cope with the post-traumatic stress. Yeah, so you see, that's how I think about trauma. So we have said that the coping you need to think about is spiritual coping through your faith-based organization. Do not disregard the power of faith, because it's by faith that you exist. There's no other way that you exist except by faith. Your existence depends on your own faith. And that doesn't mean Christianity or Muslim, it's just a faith in your spiritual self. So you're a spiritual being. So and your spirit is never traumatized. So long as you understand that, then you're going to be able to cope with any trauma that you experience. Your spirit is always intact. Okay, so you understand that you can regain it, and if you operate from the spirit, you're able to recover, even physical recovery happens, but then you have to believe. So then the second thing we said is psychological trauma, psychological coping, where you need either a therapist, psychologist, or somebody who is trained. And then in that case, you want to make sure that you get good counseling. And then the third one is physical trauma itself, where you need clinical physical with a clinician, somebody who knows what he's doing. So don't be shy. Some people, when they go through traumatic experience, they say it will go away. No, it won't go away. Get checked. Get yourself checked up. Get a physical checkup. It might be expensive, and that might hold you back. But find a way of. I think if you're in a faith-based organization, you might find people who have access to clinicians who can check your vital signs to see that you're doing good. Do not forget to check your pulse rate. That's your heart rate, your breathing rate. They help to check for you. And then they check your blood pressure, and then your blood sugar. Blood sugar, very important, because blood sugar takes a blood test, but it's not very expensive. You can get your blood sugar tested just to make sure that it's not destroying your system. After going through trauma, you can lose blood sugar control. Yeah, particularly the trauma becomes chronic. Yeah, thank you so much, and back to you, James.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. And I really believe that we should also.
Oh, James can't hear you. Well,
you can't hear me?
Oh, you're fading out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Mhm.
I'm saying that we need to be very keen with the triggers. Yeah. And actually notice them, because that's the biggest issue. When someone maybe is going through something and they are sitting somewhere, maybe you would have reduced the pain if you told them to go and sit to like at another place instead of providing the PFA exactly where they are seated. And we've actually done the class on PFA, and we have the slides. I will share them on the group, and we'll also have a talk with the trainers to have another class on it. And I guess, Doc, it was your time to give remarks. I don't know if you still have some remarks.
Well, the only remarks is that those lessons that, because we are not publishing this work on Weabi, like those, that's right, you said you have on PFA. I think we need to publish it so that we can distribute it wide enough people can read it as articles. Yeah. So are we about, because I think every week we have these lessons, but we don't publish the work. We want to make sure that the work is published also, so that we can, document the work, and also it gets, people can be reading it in their own time. Yeah, I don't think I have any other remarks, because I just wanted to emphasize those 4 levels of our existence and how you recognize them, and how you cope with trauma by recognizing your spiritual self, your mental self, your feelings, that your heart, and your muscles, meaning your physical self. Okay? So feelings are between the mental and the physical, somewhere in between. So, and feelings actually drive a lot of things. And feelings are the ones that now becomes the expression. Feelings are the outward expression of your thinking, your thought process, your mental. So you could say that your thinking and your feelings are one of the same thing, but you don't feel anything you don't think about. That's why psychological help, psychological intervention helps to cope with the feeling or the emotions. Okay, so again, if we think about that, and of course the people who are with you find out somebody going through this chronic traumatic experiences, there's several ways of coping with them, but you have to identify at which level. But initially, it begins with the mental problem, which particularly coming from, you said trauma comes from a disturbance. So the disturbance itself needs to be removed. Or if the disturbance is not removable, you need to recognize that disturbance and then figure out how to cope with it so it doesn't give you mental health problem, which becomes physical health problems. But the disturbance like what you're having right now, such as those demonstrations, those are physical disturbances. I think the way to cope with them is to first of all be safe when you go out there. If you're going to participate in the maandamano, be safe and stay on the safe side so that you don't enter into commotion where people are fighting. All right, and then so you be safe, because I think the maandamanos actually are necessary to send a message to the leaders so that they can stop doing the kind of bad stuff they're doing, causing economic crisis. But then you can get traumatized during that time of maandamano. So if the maandamanos are peaceful, then it all works out well, and then it goes away. But then the manuals can be traumatic, causing a lot of agony and anguish to people. So just be careful for yourself. Like if you go into a dhamana with other people, stay safe. Yeah, I don't know how someone can stay safe when the police are shooting bullets. I don't know how to overcome that yet. But just be safe. All right. Well, that's all I would like to say about that. And I think we can go to the next thing, Mr. James.
Oh, thank you, Doc. Oh, thank you, Doc. And I believe we published them on Waya because we have reports, especially for the PSA, because it was led by Maureen, I think you remember. We have the reports for both that and the resilience. Yeah, we have reports for our activities that we've done. And maybe we'll just do the PSA one because we have new people in the group. Yeah, but for now, we are okay. I've shared the lunch one form on the chat box. You can feel it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no, well, I think what I just wanted to add is that by the time we come to December, the summit, we're going to have a very, very big to do with mental health. I think we're going to have a huge mental health workshop. Already, the mental health workshop is prepared, and we would like you guys to participate in facilitating that mental health workshop in our December conference. And so between now and December, we shall be making large preparation to make that mental health very meaningful. I mean, and that's why we really need to publish what's going, particularly at the wake of these demos happening in Kenya throughout. I think we need to examine the effect on mental health of those demos. You could say what's the effect of what is the effect of mental health on this economic demonstration people are having in Nairobi, in Kenya. It's not just Nairobi; it's throughout the entire country. It has a significant effect on mental health of our people, and is that effect on mental health positive, or is it negative? Now, if it would be positive, if people become much more productive and start earning, making a lot of strides economically, or it will be negative if it destroys their ability to be productive. See, and I'm thinking that it's going to be a very big area of discussion in our summit at the end of the year. Between now and December, we want to see what's the effect on mental health on what this demonstration are having on the mental health of the people. You could say it's either as individuals or as a community, collective mental health. Okay. Well, I think if there's no other comments, we can adjourn the meeting and we meet again next week. But let's publish this work in Wayabi. We'll talk about how to publish that, because right now they're in PowerPoint format. We need to convert them into plain document format, say like Microsoft Word, which then we can publish in the newsletter. Wayabi newsletter. All right. You have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much.